Shalom to the royal family of Israel. I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to the Most High Yahweh and His mighty Son, Yahweh Ba'Hashem and Mashiach Yahweh. I want to give a salutation to all the mighty men, mighty women, and mighty children of Israel. And today's lesson is the Pentecost.
So today, we're going to cover a high holy day, the Pentecost, otherwise known as the Feast of First Fruits. This high holy day starts 50 days after the Passover. It's from 7 o'clock p.m. to 7 o'clock p.m., celebrated for 24 hours. This is known as the Feast of First Fruits, the Feast of Weeks, or the Pentecost. Let me get the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 15. Read.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 15. And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering. 7 Sabbats shall be complete. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days, and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord.
So here you count 7 weeks, otherwise known as 50 days. It's actually 49, and you add one more day. So the Pentecost is kept on what the world calls Sunday. So it's really 2 Sabbaths back to back. So you're going to count 7 Sabbaths after the Passover. The Sabbath is Friday night to Saturday night, and the Pentecost is to be kept on the 50th day, which is Sunday. Let me get the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 4.
Chapter 23, verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their season.
So the Pentecost is a seasonal feast, and we are to keep it every year and must be in holy convocation. Let me get the book of Exodus, chapter 23, verse 16. Read.
The book of Exodus, chapter 23, verse 16. And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingatherings, which is in the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labors of the field.
Another term for Pentecost is Feast of Harvest, which signifies the bringing of the first fruits. Now, we're going to go over exactly when this high holy day is. Let me get the book of Esther, chapter 8, verse 9. Read.
The book of Esther, chapter 8, verse 9. And were the king's scribes called at that time in the 3rd month, that is the month Sivan, on the 23rd day thereof. And it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded unto the Jews.
Okay, stop right there. So the part that we wanted to get was the month of Sivan. So we are now in the month of Sivan. So Pentecost is celebrated in the 3rd month, known as Sivan. Let me get the book of Exodus, chapter 34, verse 22. Read.
Okay, the book of Exodus, chapter 34, verse 22. And thou shalt observe the feast of weeks, of the first fruits of the wheat, harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the year's end.
The Pentecost is also known as the Feast of Weeks, and Yahweh commanded for us to celebrate it every year. Let me get the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16, verse 9.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16, verse 9. 7 weeks shalt thou number unto thee. Begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn. And thou shalt keep the feast of weeks unto the Lord thy God with a tribute of a free will offering of thine hand, which thou shalt give unto the Lord thy God, according as the Lord thy God hath blessed thee. And thou shalt rejoice before the Lord thy God, thou and thy son, and thy daughter, and thy manservant, and thy maidservant, and the Levite that is within thy gates, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, that are among you, in the place which the Lord thy God hath chosen to place his name there.
So 7 Sabbaths after the Passover, you will keep the Pentecost. And you have to remember, this is a holy convocation. So you must keep a holy convocation. Let me get the book of Tobit, chapter 2, verse 1.
The book of Tobit, chapter 2, verse 1. Now when I was come home again, and my wife Anna was restored unto me, with my son Tobias, in the feast of Pentecost, which is the holy feast of the 7 weeks, there was a good dinner prepared me, in the which I sat down to eat. And when I saw abundance of meat, I said to my son, Go and bring what poor man soever thou shalt find out of our brethren, who is mindful of the Lord, and lo, I tarry for thee.
So, as you can see in this account with Tobias and his wife Anna, you must prepare a feast. It is a feast day. You have to eat. There's no dieting on this day. So it's not Diet Sunday, you guys. You must eat. Let me get the book of Tobit, chapter 1, verse 2. Read.
The book of Tobit, chapter 1, verse 2. Who in the time of Enemazar, king of the Assyrians, was led captive out of Bispe, which is at the right hand of that city, which is called properly Naphtali in Galilee above Asser. I, Tobit, have walked all the days of my life in the ways of the truth and justice, and I did many alms deeds to my brethren and my nation, who come with me to Nineveh, into the land of the Assyrians.
So Tobit kept the Pentecost during Assyrian captivity. Right now, we're in captivity of Babylon the Great. No matter where you're at, you can keep the Lord's high holy days. But because Yahweh Bahashem Hamashiach, Yahweh died on the cross, he was the ultimate sacrifice. We no longer live under the law of sin and death. We don't have to keep the laws exactly super perfect. You can keep it in your captivity where you're at. We can keep Yahweh's holy days while we're in captivity.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 12, verse 31. They gave them thanks, desiring them to be friendly still unto them. And so they came to Jerusalem, the feast of weeks approaching. And after the feast called Pentecost, they went forth against Georgius, the governor of Idumea.
So even during Greek captivity, we kept the Pentecost. Let me get the book of Numbers, chapter 28, verse 26. Read.
The book of Numbers, chapter 28, verse 26. Also, in the day of the first fruits, when ye bring a new meat offering unto the Lord, after your weeks be out, ye shall have an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work.
So this is clear and plain. This day is to be kept as a Sabbath day, no working. Let me get the book of Colossians chapter 2, verse 14. Read.
The book of Colossians chapter 2, verse 14, blotting out the handwriting of ordinances that was against us, which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it into his cross.
The law of sacrifice was nailed to the cross. We don't live under the law of sin and death anymore. Let me get the book of Acts chapter 1, verse 9. Read.
Book of Acts, chapter 1, verse 9. And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly towards heaven, as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahweh, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven.
By this time, Christ had been sacrificed already. He resurrected and he ascended to heaven. Let me get the book of Acts chapter 2, verse 1. Read.
The book of Acts chapter 2, verse 1. And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place.
Pentecost was still kept even after the death and resurrection of Christ. We must still keep God's high holy days. The day of Pentecost is one day. It's 24 hours. Let me get the book of Acts chapter 20, verse 16. Read.
The book of Acts, chapter 20, verse 16. For Paul had determined to sail by Ephesus, because he would not spend the time in Asia, for he hasteth, if it were possible for him to be at Jerusalem the day of Pentecost.
Paul kept the day of Pentecost. Christ taught Paul to keep God's laws, statutes, and commandments, which includes keeping his holy days. So today, we just went over the Pentecost. It is May 21st from 7 o'clock p.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. You must keep it. And with that, shalom.
Shalom.